Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today I will talk about neonatal jaundice. Why neonatal jaundice is important? All pediatricians they are worried about when baby is developing yellow discoloration of the skin or sclera or a mucous membrane, and they want to know the level of serum bilirubin. Why? What is the reason behind it? In newborn period, if baby is developing yellow discoloration, jaundice, it must need to be assessed and need to be checked about the risk factors and what's the reason behind this jaundice, and if it reaches the point when treatment is necessary, baby need to be admitted and need a treatment in the hospital inpatient, because if you will not treat, and this jaundice may cause a brain damage which is called bilirubin encephalopathy or kernicterus, and if baby is developing this kernicterus, then it means that baby has a high chance to have a permanent disability, and if baby is having a permanent disability, it is lot of burden on the family, on the community, and also baby's all life would be miserable. So that's why it is very important to rule out the cause of the jaundice, and also when to investigate. If baby has developed the jaundice, what we should do and how to manage that jaundice. It's not necessary that every baby who is having a jaundice it is a physiological jaundice or breast milk jaundice. So we will talk about all these management and risk factors, and initially I'll talk about the bilirubin metabolism. So if you will understand little bit about the bilirubin metabolism, it is easy for you to differentiate from either it is a pathological jaundice or it is a physiological jaundice, why it is happening in newborn babies. So then we will discuss about causes of neonatal jaundice, and then the risk factors, and how to assess if baby has developed a jaundice. If you check the serum bilirubin on day first and baby has a high level of bilirubin, what you will do next, when to check next, either you will check after 24 hours or in 48 hours or at 6 hours. And if you have a baby who has developed jaundice on day 3 and you check serum bilirubin, and when to recheck it. It's not that if any baby who has developed jaundice and you checked once, it is the below the threshold of the treatment and you will say it's a physiological jaundice. No, this baby may develop a rapid rise of high bilirubinemia. And how to assess those babies, if any baby who has developed the jaundice. Then jaundice approaching treatment level, still that baby has not reached to the treatment level, but this jaundice may reach to the treatment level. So this is the important thing which every doctor should know when they are dealing with a newborn baby with yellow discoloration. And then at the end we will discuss about the management, how to manage in phototherapy, what is conventional phototherapy and what is fiber optic and non-fiber optic phototherapy. So over 60% of term and 80% of preterm infants developing jaundice in first week of their life. So 60% of the term and 80% of preterm. Neonatal jaundice is important because it may indicate underlying disease such as infection, hemolytic anemia, liver disease, metabolic disease. Severe unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia can lead to neonatal encephalopathy and long-term neurodevelopmental problems. Any baby who has developed a jaundice on the first day, first 24 hours, it is need to be ruled out the pathological cause, because during first 24 hours, if baby has a jaundice, it is most probably that baby has some cause, some underlying disease or underlying problem. Could be hemolytic anemia, could be infection, could be some metabolic problems. And if severe unconjugated, we will discuss in metabolism what is unconjugated and what is conjugated hyperbilirubinemia. So these leads to encephalopathy, and also it may cause permanent neurodevelopmental problems, called the bilirubin encephalopathy or kernicterus. So bilirubin metabolism provides basis of the causes of neonatal jaundice. What is bilirubin encephalopathy? That every pediatrician is wants to prevent this bilirubin encephalopathy. So what is bilirubin encephalopathy? It is acute bilirubin encephalopathy or bilirubin induced neurological dysfunction, and it is caused by free bilirubin in the blood and with unconjugated fraction of the bilirubin unbound to albumin, because bilirubin, when it is in plasma after the breakdown of the hemoglobin, it bonds to the albumin, then which make the unconjugated bilirubin and albumin complex, then goes to the liver for the conjugation. But if it is there is no albumin and there is a lot of hemolysis, so definitely unconjugated bilirubin in the plasma would be high, and this unconjugated bilirubin is lipid which can cross the lipid brain barrier, and when it cross the lipid brain barrier, it can develop a bilirubin encephalopathy or kernicterus. So kernicterus used to describe histological findings of bilirubin toxicity within the brain that include staining and necrosis of a neuron. So this is actually histological findings when we say kernicterus, and when they deposit in a brain, which part of the brain usually it damages, like it damages the area which is a basal ganglia, a nuclei of oculomotor, vestibulocochlear, and a facial cranial nerves, cerebral nuclei also. But the which part is spare, which is cerebral cortex, is usually spare in babies who is having kernicterus. But other things like anterior horn cells of the spinal cord and other parts of the brain which is involved the kernicterus in a patient who is developing bilirubin encephalopathy. The initial signs of bilirubin encephalopathy are lethargy. Baby will having lethargic, hypotonic, decreased suck. It means mother can bring their baby to you with loss of feel. Baby is not feeling well, and all the time he is sleepy, baby. And when you will examine, he looks hypotonic. These are the initial signs. So if you did not pick at that time, then they may goes to the stupor, irritability, and hypertonia, which is opisthonos, and high pitched cry. This is the when baby is having hypertonia, irritability, and high pitched cry, and they are having a clinically yellow discoloration. This is the time they may develop a kernicterus. And if you will not treat at this level, they may go to the coma, fever, apnea, and seizures, and sometimes death. So these are the symptoms you should look for if baby's bilirubin level is very high. So that's why every baby, when they develop a yellow discoloration, neonatal jaundice, need to be addressed properly. So bilirubin metabolism, we will talk about a little bit bilirubin metabolism. It looks scary. I know it's a little bit difficult to understand about the bilirubin metabolism, but I will try to make it easy for you so that you understand. Whenever there is a breakdown of hemoglobin, breakdown of the RBC hemoglobin, the different multiple things are released from the hemoglobin. So which is the iron, globin, and carbon monoxide. This carbon monoxide, when it is released from the broken RBC or broken hemoglobin, when hemolysis happens, sometimes they check in a breath this carbon monoxide. They are said it is a volatile of a high bilirubin. When they will check in the breath there is a carbon monoxide, it means there is a hemolysis going on, and this jaundice sometimes they recognize from this carbon monoxide. They are saying it is a surrogate of unconjugated bilirubin. Surrogate means instead of serum bilirubin you will check carbon monoxide. Sometimes in theory and science exam of MRCP-CH they are giving these kind of questions. But hemoglobin, which goes to the biliverdin and bilirubin by certain enzymes, and then it comes to the plasma, is unconjugated bilirubin. When hemolysis happen, breakdown of the hemoglobin, the iron, globin and carbon monoxide. Then in the plasma, usually it comes in the plasma bilirubin, and when it comes to the plasma, it is unconjugated bilirubin. This hemolysis happen in the reticuloendothelial system. The main it is in the spleen. So in plasma already there is an albumin which bound to the this bilirubin, unconjugated bilirubin, and when it bounds to the unconjugated bilirubin, this albumin, then it make the bilirubin albumin complex. So this bilirubin albumin complex goes into the liver. So without this complex, it is unable to go to the liver. When it goes to the liver, it is going to the liver for to make it conjugation of bilirubin. So there is an enzyme which make this unconjugated bilirubin, conjugated bilirubin, which is a enzyme called uridine diphosphate glucuronide transferase enzyme. You can say it is a UGT enzyme. So in one condition, if UGT enzyme is less, also those baby is having hyperbilirubinemia. Sometimes these problems happen congenitally. There is some enzyme deficiencies, but we will not go in very details. Just I want to instill in your mind about little bit about how the baby is developing hyperbilirubinemia. When there is, we are saying unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia, it means before the liver. It didn't go to the liver for conjugation. When we say conjugated hyperbilirubinemia, it means after the liver. So after liver, there is a conjugation happen. Conjugation happen inside the liver. Then conjugated hyperbilirubinemia goes to the biliary tract and intestine, and then again goes to reabsorb to the portal vein, and some goes to the feces, and some also excrete into the via the kidney. So this conjugation happen in liver by the enzyme UGT, and then it will goes to the biliary tract and goes to the intestine. After intestine, some of them it is excreted out by the feces, in the feces in the form of stercobilinogen. So this is stercobilinogen. It gives the stool its color. So if stool is not of stool color, then if it is a chalky color or white color, it means there is a conjugated hyperbilirubinemia. Then that's why this stool color is important. Sometimes in theory and science exam, they are asking a question that what gives stool color. So they are giving an options like urobilinogen, like stercobilinogen, and some other things, but it is stool colors by stercobilinogen, and urobilinogen gives the color to the urine. So if any problem happen in a gut transition time, for example, the baby is having constipation, it not goes out bilirubin, then definitely those babies may cause a conjugated hyperbilirubinemia. So after that, some is reabsorbed to the portal circulation, and when portal goes to the portal circulation, it became unconjugated by the enzyme which is beta glucuronidase, and this reabsorption happened, then this make it unconjugated by beta glucuronidase. So this is little bit about bilirubin metabolism, and we will go for the causes of a neonatal jaundice. And causes are divided into during a neonatal period, first 2 weeks, and then a persistent jaundice. When we say the persistent jaundice, it means that for more than 14 days in term babies, and it is if it is preterm, then more than 21 days. So if there is a persistent jaundice, definitely those babies need investigations. And what investigation, we will discuss about those investigations. So causes of jaundice are physiological: prematurity, increased bilirubin load like blood group incompatibility, glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency, red cell enzyme deficiencies like congenital spherocytosis, cephalohematoma, and bruising. So cephalohematoma and bruising also cause hemolysis. Like for example, they have the hematoma. Definitely hematoma is going to be resolved slowly and gradually. When it resolves, it means there is a hemolysis. Hemolysis is happening, going on continuous. That's why those babies are developing jaundice. Also infection, which is very rarely, but it can cause a jaundice in a UTI or congenital infection, group B streptococcus. Metabolic disorders also may cause a neonatal jaundice. Then persistent jaundice more than 14 days, which could be breast milk jaundice, hypothyroidism, liver disease, extrahepatic biliary atresia, and neonatal hepatitis. Alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency, also TPN-induced cholestasis. So whenever there is a persistent jaundice, we should rule out these causes by the investigation and the clinical features. What is physiological jaundice? Generally, it is harmless, unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia. Unconjugated means indirect. So, high proportion of newborn babies in the first weeks of life, and there is no underlying cause. That's why we are saying physiological, and also it is a harmless. So, jaundice becomes clinically apparent when serum bilirubin 80 to 90 micromole per liter. So, whenever you see visual jaundice, visual examination, baby is having yellow discoloration, you can assume that this baby serum bilirubin, unconjugated bilirubin, is 80 to 90 micromole per liter. And usually physiological jaundice, it starts on day 2 to 3 and peaks at day 4 to 5. So breastfeed babies are more likely to develop physiological jaundice than formula feed infants. So there is a certain mechanism, but still the clear cause or clear mechanism is unknown. But there are certain factors that can cause the breast milk jaundice. So what are these factors? Increased beta-glucuronidase in breast milk can increase enteric absorption of bilirubin and hence the hepatic bilirubin load. High free fatty acid in breast milk may compete for albumin binding sites for transport to the liver. Certain factors in breast milk may inhibit the enzyme responsible for conjugation in the liver, and inadequate milk intake increase enterohepatic circulation of bilirubin. So jaundice resolves by 2 weeks. It may persist 4 to 10 weeks in some breastfed infants. So any baby who is having a persistent jaundice, you should rule out the other causes as we discussed earlier, and then if all causes has been ruled out, then you can say it is a breast milk jaundice. Sometimes it is persist for 4 to 10 weeks even. So breastfeeding should be continued irrespective of the bilirubin level. So if we are saying the mother that your baby has a jaundice because of breast milk, then what do you think, mother? Next question, shall I stop the breast milk? No, you should continue the breast milk, because if you will tell the mother that stop the breast milk, baby may goes into the dehydration, and after when you will give the formula feed, it is very difficult to commence again to the breast milk, because baby will having a will be easy for the formula feed than the breast milk. The breast milk should not be stopped in any case. So what are the risk factors of a neonatal jaundice? Risk factors are of hyperbilirubinemia and risk factors of developing kernicterus. So why these risk factors are important to know? Because when you will see if there is any risk factors, then the investigation time period is the different. So that it is very important to know about the risk factors to developing hyperbilirubinemia, risk factors to develop kernicterus. Less than 38 weeks gestation, previous sibling required treatment for jaundice. Does it require treatment for this? If any of the sibling of the baby who has required the treatment like phototherapy or a transfusion, then this is also a risk factor of hyperbilirubinemia. If mother intends to give exclusively breastfeed, those babies are also having a risk to develop hyperbilirubinemia. Visible jaundice in baby aged less than 24 hours. Whenever there is a baby who is having a visible jaundice less than 24 hours, you might think there is a high chance of this baby's jaundice is pathological. You should rule out all causes. Kernicterus, high bilirubin level more than 340 micromole per liter in term babies. There are many charts are available according to the hours and age of the baby, days. So if there is more than 340 in newborn, then there is a high chance those baby may goes into the kernicterus. This is a very high risk factor. The rapidly rising bilirubin level more than 8.5 micromole per liter per hour. What is rapid rising bilirubin level? You know why they are saying, the pediatrician, if you checked first day bilirubin or on the second day, then you should repeat it after 8 hours or 6 hours. So this is the reason, because rapidly rising bilirubin, you don't know next 24 hours what would be the level of bilirubin in a baby. So for example, if you are eating 8 grams per day, sorry, 8 grams per hour, so or maybe I will say, to easy to understand, you are eating a 10 grams per hour. What about next 6 hours? How many grams you will eat? You will eat next 6 hours, 60 hours. So what about next 12 hours? And what about next 24 hours? So it is going to be increased very fast. So for example, its rate of rise of bilirubin is more than 8.5, and after 6 hours or 8 hours, baby's bilirubin level, how much it can reach, so it can goes beyond the threshold. So that's why they are very important to know rapidly rising bilirubin level. This is the reason every doctor should know when to recheck the bilirubin level, because of this rate rapidly rising bilirubin level cause the rate of rise. Clinical features of bilirubin encephalopathy, as we discussed earlier. What are the clinical features? These are also risk factors. So how to assess a baby who is having a jaundice? Baby's age is less than 72 hours. Look for risk factors and visual inspection. First of all, you will go for the visual inspection, and you will go for the risk factors. Risk factors of developing hyperbilirubinemia and risk factors of developing kernicterus. So babies with obvious jaundice, measure and record bilirubin level urgently. If there is a visual inspection, you feel that baby's sclera is 0, or mucous membrane is 0, and baby's yellow discoloration on your visual inspection, then you will check bilirubin less than 24 hours. Do not tell to check bilirubin tomorrow. No, less than 24 hours, it's better to check. If age is less, sorry, if age is less than 24 hours, within 2 hours you will check the bilirubin level. If age is more than 24 hours, you have some time, like within 6 hours you should check in bilirubin level. So if any baby who has developed a jaundice and you received a baby, if age is less than 24 hours, within 2 hours you must check bilirubin level, serum bilirubin. And if it is more than 24 hours age of the baby, then within 6 hours. So if serum bilirubin level more than 100 micromole per liter in first 24 hours, repeat in 6 to 12 hours. So if baby's bilirubin level more than 100, then for example, if rate of rise is 10 or rate of rise is 12, then next 6 hours definitely it may cross 200 or 200 plus. So that's why you have to check at 6 to 12 hours to check the rate of rise, and you check if the baby's bilirubin level is more than 100, for example 110, and then after 6 hours you checked it is more than 170, it means rate of rise is more than 10. So that's why those baby, you will not wait for these babies to goes beyond to the threshold and they develop sign and symptoms of kernicterus or any other complications. Definitely you will admit this baby to recheck again, or maybe those baby need an treatment in hospital. So that's why it is a rate of rise is important to know. So jaundice approaching treatment level, still baby has not reached to the treatment level, but baby will goes, or it is going to approach the treatment level. If baby is well, term baby, more than 38 weeks, and the age is more than 24 hours, and serum bilirubin less than 50 micromole below treatment threshold, repeat measurement. So for example, baby's threshold level in a baby whose age is 48 hours, so threshold is 250, more than 250. Then if it is treatment level below the 250, then we should repeat the measurement. If there are risk factors, repeat measurement in 18 hours. If there are no risk factors, then repeat in 24 hours. So if serum bilirubin more than 50 micromole per liter below threshold, no further routine measurement required. Definitely if baby's level is threshold is at 250 and there is a 180 or 190, then you will not go for the further, and baby is term baby and age is more than 24 hours, you will just advise the mother about direct hyperbilirubinemia if there is a change in color of the stool, if there is a lethargy, if baby is not feeling well, if you feel any abnormality, then you should visit. Otherwise, no need to visit. It could be a physiological or a breast milk jaundice. What is persistent jaundice, and if there is a persistent jaundice, how to investigate? Persistent jaundice is more than 14 days in term and more than 21 days in preterm babies. So in those babies, you should go for the total and conjugated bilirubin. So direct bilirubin you will check, and also the conjugated, unconjugated and direct. So examine stool color, full blood count, baby's blood group, and direct Coombs test to check for the hemolysis, and routine metabolic screen and urine culture. So these are the investigation you should do in a baby who is having a jaundice, which is called the persistent jaundice. And baby with conjugated bilirubin more than 25 micromole, refer urgently. Why? Those baby is having a conjugated or direct bilirubin. It means they have some problem in the biliary tract, or some could be serious problem. And if those babies treated early, there is a good prognosis. So if there is a direct or conjugated bilirubin is more than 25 micromole per liter, you should refer urgent to the tertiary center. So what about treatment? Treatment is less than 7 days of the age. Term babies more than 38 weeks, or preterm babies less than 37 weeks. In treatment is in term babies, the conventional blue light phototherapy, it is not fiber optic. That's why we are saying conventional. So continuous multiple phototherapy, to whom you will give the continuous multiple phototherapy, who fails to respond to conventional phototherapy, or bilirubin level within 50 micromole per liter of exchange transfusion threshold. For example, if it is 48 hours of age of the baby and exchange transfusion threshold is 300, then the bilirubin level is 260. So this is within 50 micromole per liter of the exchange transfusion. So those babies need continuous multiple phototherapy. So when level falls to more than 50 micromole below threshold, reduce intensity. And in preterm babies, we will use the fiber optic, or also we can use the conventional blue light as a first line treatment, and indication of multiple phototherapy is term babies. So this is the treatment less than 7 days who babies are developing a jaundice. So how to manage during phototherapy? Inform parents about procedure, because parents, if they are watching their newborn baby, it is very damaging for them. It's very difficult time for them that they are watching their baby, what is going on in the phototherapy away from the mother. So you should inform the parents that what is going on with your baby and what you are going to do. This is very important thing. You should inform the parents to make them relax. If they know what is going on, they must be relaxed. So treatment applied to maximum area of skin. Monitor baby's temperature. Phototherapy can cause temperature instability. Hydration by weighing and weight nappies. How to check the hydration in a baby who is on phototherapy? To check the regular weight and to check the nappies, either they are weight or not. Use eye protection and eye care. Encourage breaks up 30 minutes for breathing, breastfeeding and nappy change if bilirubin not significantly elevated. So if there is not significantly elevated, then you will give the break of 30 minutes for the breastfeeding and change of nappy, and also bonding for the mother and the baby. So but if there is a multiple phototherapy, it means babies need multiple phototherapy. At that time, do not interrupt for feeds, but continue feeding support so that feeding can recommence. If baby will not feed for a few days, definitely it is difficult to recommence the feeding. So you should continue the breastfeeding, but do not interrupt as much as possible if there is a multiple phototherapy. So how to monitor during phototherapy? Repeat serum bilirubin 4 to 6 hours after starting treatment. Repeat serum bilirubin 6 to 12 hourly when bilirubin is stable or falling. So when you start the treatment, then you should repeat 4 to 6 hours. But if there is a bilirubin is stable, then you will repeat serum bilirubin 6 to 12 hourly. and stop phototherapy once serum bilirubin has fallen to 50 macromole per liter below threshold. So you can check, multiple charts are available in different hospitals, so they are following their local protocol. You should follow their protocol, and you will follow these charts to check their bilirubin level according to the age of the baby or hours of the baby. So check for rebound jaundice with repeat serum bilirubin 12 to 18 hours after stopping phototherapy. So there is a rebound jaundice and you stop the treatment and you discharge the baby, you should advise for the parents to repeat serum bilirubin after 12 to 18 hours, within 12 to 18 hours. Why? Those babies may develop rebound jaundice, and no need to admit for to check for the rebound jaundice. You can discharge the baby and just advise them to recheck the serum bilirubin 12 to 18 hours. So many hospitals, they go for to check for the cutaneous. Sometimes many of them, they are checking for the IV. So there is also a protocol when you go for the serum bilirubin to check from venous blood, sorry, in the laboratory, or when you check for the transcutaneous machine. So if babies for repeat anything, repeat of bilirubin, and babies bilirubin level is not that much high, then you can go for a transcutaneous bilirubin level for them, because it is very easy and cause the less pain to the baby. So when you discharge the baby, then what is the follow-up? GP follow-up with routine examination 6 to 8 weeks. If exchange transfusion necessary are considered, request developmental follow-up and hearing test. So if there is exchange transfusion was necessary, if baby has developed exchange transfusion, it means those babies are at high risk to develop some kernicterus, to develop the kernicterus. So those baby, how do we know? By the development of the baby, either his baby is growing well or not, and it can also causing the hearing impairment. So if baby went for exchange transfusion, they need a developmental follow-up and hearing test. Babies with weekly positive Coombs test who require phototherapy, check hemoglobin at age of 2 and 4 weeks, give folic acid 1 milligram daily. So this is about discharge and follow-up. So this was about the neonatal jaundice, and why it is important, because you are saving for a baby from a permanent disability. It is not only the baby is suffering their whole life, but also all family will suffer. If baby is having permanent disability, definitely it's very painful for the family. Definitely one person should be look after that baby 24 hours, because they might have a cerebral palsy. So these babies cannot move their limbs sometimes. So it is very important to go to assess and to diagnose, and when to start phototherapy. The primary aim is to prevent the kernicterus bilirubin encephalopathy. So and when to recheck the bilirubin. So all about this, every doctor should know about it, and to prevent the baby from permanent disability. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.